So this morning, let's get right to a weather impact alert that you need to know about, especially if you are hitting the road a little later today and maybe picking the kids up from school.
We hate to tell you, but it looks like ice, sleet, and snow all expected in Indiana today. Just depending on where you are is what you get. This is, in fact, a live look there at Doppler 13. Thanks so much for waking up with us here on 13 Sunrise. We wish we had better news for you regarding the weather, but we have been well prepared for this next winter storm that is moving in.
So Lindsay and Chuck are here with us this morning. Right now, Chuck is tracking when the storm will move in our way and when we can expect that snow to hit the metro, which might affect some of that traffic that Lindsay will be talking about. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. I'll tell you, what a morning mocha mix of weather that we've got coming up on this weather impact alert day, ladies. Right now, hey, it's good. Everything is good. It's calm out there. And if you're planning on when the problems may be, that would be this afternoon. Do want to mention, though, Mitchell now a 2-hour delay and Jennings County virtual learning because of yesterday's storm that left some icy roads there. 30 from Indy to Carmel, from Fishers to Noblesville, and 29 from the home of the Arabians at Pendleton all the way down to Greenfield. Martinsville, you're at 31. Bloomington's at 31. We want these temperatures to go up and stay up, but I don't think that's going to happen. Thus, as a result, mainly a cold rain from the south side of Indy, Beech Grove all the way south later today, but here in the immediate metro, including Avon and Carmel, including Greenfield all the way up to Peru, a trace to 2 inches of snow mixed with sleet. Some of that ice could accumulate maybe 1/5 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. And how about this? 5 to 7 inches of snow in the far northern counties of the state, including the towns of Crown Point and Valparaiso. Now, let's show you radar. We've had a few snow flurries around Bloomington this morning. Really not much there, however, but a winter weather advisory to the south if you're on 74. In fact, we're going to hear more from Lindsay about a problem on 74 this morning due to the ice that's still around there from yesterday's storm. Let's break down the timeline now. I think anytime after 2, we're going to see this wintry mix that would include ice in the metro. And look at these temperatures right above freezing, but just barely. So as we go through the day today, here's what we're looking at. 2 o'clock, we're still dry in the metro, rain in Bloomington. However, during the evening rush hour, rain to ice to snow, and that's what we're going to be dealing with, and we'll break down what to expect in just a few minutes. But Lindsay, already on Interstate 74, we got some issues this morning.
Yeah, before our big system gets here, we've got this problem spot down across the southeastern tier of the state, and this was a crash I started talking about around 5 o'clock this morning, but now they're actually shutting down the interstate and diverting traffic. So this is way outside the Indy metro, again closer to the Indiana-Ohio border, but 74 near Lawrenceville being diverted off in the eastbound direction there at State Road 101. Want to show you what this looks like on a map, and this is because we've got some slick conditions. We got our road weather index fired up in this stretch of the state right now, and it is reporting some snow and ice covered roadways. So again, this is way south of the Indianapolis metro, closer to Cincinnati. I-74 eastbound closed there due to an incident, and traffic is being diverted off at State Road 101. So if your travel plans take you south this morning, that's going to be the trouble spot. But around the metro, everything looks pretty good. We're watching our road temperatures all dropping below freezing. So do be prepared for some tricky driving conditions later today.
All right. Thanks for keeping us updated. Well, for the first time, a jury is seeing security videos showing the moments before a man allegedly killed his ex-girlfriend.
This happened 3 years ago outside of a downtown daycare. This video that we're showing you now is of Orlando Mitchell, the suspect in this case, from a previous hearing. So cameras are not allowed in the court for this case, but 13 News was in the courtroom as the jury witnessed that video showing the victim, Crystal Walton, dropping off her kids. Moments later, Mitchell is seen shooting Walton and then running away.
The jury also saw police body camera video showing Mitchell's arrest just a few hours later. Mitchell's attorneys presented no evidence in his defense. His lawyers are arguing Mitchell acted in, quote, sudden heat and that the shooting was not murder by definition.
Now, Mitchell is also facing a separate murder charge in the strangulation death of Deputy John Durham while Mitchell was in custody in July of 2023. Well, in just a few hours, the jury will hear closing arguments in this first murder trial.
Well, Julia, now a heartbreaking update for this young family. We've been following this story out of Hendricks County. The family of 3-year-old severely injured in a crash last week has now been taken off of life support. The toddler's mom told 13 News her son's injuries were just too much for the little guy to overcome. 3-year-old Aries suffered burns to most of his body during that crash in Plainfield on Wednesday. It also killed his 2-month-old sister Iris. The children were in their dad's vehicle when another driver crashed into them at US 40 and Ronald Reagan Parkway. Plainfield police say the suspect in that car refused to stop for an Avon police officer before the crash. The suspect, Sidoni Pettis, is in the Hendricks County Jail right now facing multiple charges. Well, right now we're working to find out the condition of a man after a house fire in the Butler-Tarkington neighborhood. We told you about this yesterday morning. At last check, we knew he was in critical condition.
If you joined us on Sunrise, you know that this was breaking around 5:30 yesterday. This happened on Byram Avenue near 38th Street, about 1 block east of the main entrance to Crown Hill Cemetery.
Indianapolis firefighters also shared some pictures taken inside the house after the fire. Neighbors told firefighters the victim they believed was squatting inside this vacant house, which didn't have any working smoke alarms. 6:06 and new this morning, we're learning more about the progress being made with the Vision Zero Task Force. That committee held its actual first meeting since last year.
It's been a long time coming. Now they're focused on several things to hope to finally get the ball rolling towards an action plan that'll drastically decrease the number of pedestrians killed. Matthew Foltz joins us live this morning. Matthew, what areas have they been making progress on?
Well, one of the areas we learned last night, Julia, was that the city, or I should say task force, has gathered data from other cities across the country who have also had success with similar task force plans. We'll get more into that in a second, but first I also want to mention that one of the big things that we learned last night was that the task force is still searching for an administrator to head this task force. Now, that position, we're told, was set to be filled in January 1st, when the task force was first formed in October. Now, the task force says they launched a public engagement effort, and right now they're looking at data from other cities, as I mentioned, that have found other success plans. Those cities include Charlotte, Louisville, Columbus, Ohio, and even Denver, Colorado. Now, when it comes to the delay in hiring that administrator position and hearing from the public, the task force chair tells 13 News that they're taking their time in this entire process. Meanwhile, another hurdle that the task force is faced with is funding for this action plan. Take a listen.
We don't retain all the infrastructure dollars that we generate. In fact, other counties in Indiana get money from Marion County. So if we could retain all the money that we generated in taxes for infrastructure, we'd be in a different position.
Now, again, the next steps in this entire process is for the task force to find and hire an administrator. They also want to hear back from the public through an engagement system. However, still no word on what that engagement system will look like and when the next public meeting will be held. Live this morning here in downtown Indy, I'm Matthew Foltz, 13 News.
Right, but some good progress there. Well, we know there is growing concern this morning about what residents are calling a homeless crisis in the Garfield Park neighborhood in Indy. In just the last few months, 13 News has heard from several people in that neighborhood who are talking about fires, vandalism, drugs, even weapons. Neighbors have made repeated calls to city leaders, but they claim the problem is only getting worse. Now, our Lauren Kostick, she's been covering this story. She went to city leaders to see what they're doing to help those neighbors and also those experiencing homelessness. We're told city agencies are aware of this problem, and they're also meeting weekly to talk about more immediate solutions.
There's no one answer. We're not going to be able to arrest our way out of homelessness in the city of Indianapolis.
So, we really need the mayor and the city to step up on this.
So the Garfield Park Neighborhood Association is also pushing for solutions. The president said residents have a compassion for those experiencing homelessness, but not for those displaying lawless behavior. You can read Lauren's full story right now at WTHR.com. Well, right now, lawmakers are also considering a bill that would allow police to actually arrest people living on the streets or encampments.
We're talking about House Bill 1662, and under that measure, if officers found a person that was staying or sleeping on the streets, the first time police would give a warning and offer to take a person to a shelter. But if the person did not move within 24 hours, police could make an arrest.
So people who testified against this bill are arguing it really would criminalize homelessness. All right, now the blue and gold, they are on their way to the nation's capital looking for some redemption after their game against the Knicks.
Got to look ahead to victory. Last night they lost to the Knicks 128-115 here at home. Knicks center Karl Anthony Towns was on fire, putting up 40 points. Josh Hart also added 30 points for the Knicks.
Pascal Siakam, he led the Pacers with 24, and Tyrese Halliburton put in 16. The team is back on the court tonight to play the Wizards. Tip-off is at 7 o'clock. Hey, Chuck.
Hey, my news is better than the Pacers for this morning because it's okay. However, later on today, a weather impact alert. We're going to see areas of heavy snow in the northern part of Indiana and here in the metro, a little bit of everything from rain and sleet to ice and a wintry mix. We're going to break down the timeline for you and also take a sneak peek at the weekend coming up.
Thank you, Chuck. This morning, a teacher detained in Russia is back on American soil after nearly 4 years.
Coming up this morning at 6:15 for you, the deal just negotiated to get him back home to his family.